Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To all my students, ICT 500. So I am TS Dr. Rashida Mohta. So we will talk about critical thinking tools and methods. Okay, previous lesson, we have talked about definition of critical thinking. Okay, so now we move to the what are the tools and methods to support the critical thinking. So at the end of this lecture, so I hope that my student can understand and describe type of critical thinking tool and method, and then can use critical thinking tools to in identifying the problems. So before we go to what are the critical thinking tools and methods that we can use, so let us recap back what you have learn about definition of critical thinking. So actually the important point in critical thinking is about thought of process, which an individual who is actively engaged in the process of evaluating, analyzing and interpreting such information. And then it is also to find the inference and assumptions about that information. So in this session also, I attach the other definitions that by several authors. For example, critical thinking can be defined as purposeful thinking in which individuals systematically and then habitually impose criteria and intellectual standards upon their thought. And then critical thinking also can define as composition of skills and attitudes that involve the ability to recognize the existence of the problems, and then to support the truthfulness of the problem. So you want to find critical thinking is normally you want to find the truth about the things, and then it is also about the self-reflective, and then the process of purposeful for the judgment. So normally when we talk about critical thinking, we have certain objective to meet. So we know what you want to find, and then we have the very systematic process. So this is the dispositions to think critically. So we have inquisitiveness, which is related to the curiosity and desire for learning. And then we have open-mindedness, which is you can accept any opinions from others, so that you can think critically. So you cannot have bias on certain part. And then we need also to have very systematic, because to think critically, you need to think about all possibilities. So in order for you to identify the best solution, so you need to organize, focus, and diligent in inquiry process. And then we have analytical, analyticity. So we want to find the reasoning, and use the evidence to resolve the problems. And then think critically also is about truth seeking. You want to find the truth. You want from the best knowledge, from the best context. Asking questions, honest and objective about pursuing inquiry. And then we have the self-confidence. Is about trust. To your judgment. You need to have your trust, very confidence about your opinion, your solution. And then the last disposition to think critically, which is the maturity. So it is about the approach problems, inquiry and decision making. So this is all the dispositions to think critically. So in order for you to think critically, you need to have this kind of characteristic. Alright, so before we go further, so Walker SA, from the article Active Learning Promotes Critical Thinking. So promotes about to ask open-ended question. In order for you to have critical thinking, so you need to ask open-ended questions. Okay, encourage divergent thinking, evaluation and synthesis. Okay, and then go beyond knowledge recall. Okay, learn to explore why, how about, what if, and etc. So I will share to you the article, okay, about the active learning promotes critical thinking. So now we move to the next one, which is the method one. Okay, so asking open-ended question. So in our syllabus class, okay, we will use tool 5WS 1H, okay, which is what, okay, who, when, why, where, and how. Okay, so now we look one by one. Okay, what is what? Normally is to identify something. Okay, what did people do in a class? Okay, for example, you ask this such a question. Okay, what happened in the class? Okay, and then who is about person, things. Okay, who were the students? Okay, and then where is question about? Normally you want to know the location of certain things. Okay, okay, when is time? You want to know about the time. Okay, and then why is about, you want to find the reason of certain things, justification. Okay, you want to answer the question about justify. Okay, and then the last is about how. Okay, you want to know the condition, the situation, you want to understand certain things. Okay, okay, so next, okay, so in a group, okay, I want you to do the first activity. This about, okay, use tool 5WS and 1H, okay, to know about IoT applications. Okay, so I want you to use, okay, for example, what, okay, what is IoT? Okay, where is IoT apply? Okay, who use IoT? Okay, and so on. So basically, okay, I just briefed to you about IoT. Okay, later on you can find, okay, further information about the IoT. Okay, IoT is actually Internet of Things. Okay, so you use internet. Okay, you use internet to connect devices to human. Okay, for example, okay, I want to connect, okay, my handphone, okay, with the car. Okay, my car. Okay, with the television. Okay, with the my home. Okay, system. Okay, electrical system. Okay, lighting system. Okay, with my refrigerator, for example. So this is actually the Internet of Things. Okay, so maybe you say that, okay, that is about the smart appliances, is related to the artificial intelligence. Yes, of course. Okay, because IoT is actually use various technologies. Okay, various technologies such as AI, okay, cloud computing, cybersecurity, big data, and so on. Okay, so this is we combine all the technologies, okay, and then use internet to communicate, okay, to make sure that it's communicate to each other. Okay, okay, for example, okay, we have data sensing, okay, we have data transport, okay, we have data analytic. Okay, okay, for example, you can know, okay, which area, okay, that we have very for example, in the COVID-19, okay, you can know which part that is not safe for you, okay, which is very crowded. Okay, and then you can sense, okay, in terms of the for example, okay, you want to know about the human, okay, interaction, okay, or you want to know about the transportation, okay, data, okay, or food, okay, about food and beverages, okay, and so on. So the basic concept of IoT is about Internet of the usage of internet to communicate. Okay, okay, so I want you to find the information, okay, discuss with your friends, okay, and then use tool 5WS and 1H to find the knowledge about the very basic IoT. So I hope at the end of your activity, you at least can know very basic about IoT application. Okay, class? Okay. Alright, so method number 2 is about identifying relationship. Okay, so when we talk about relationship, so normally we need to have at least two entities. Okay, so at least you need to have at least two things, okay, that you want to find the relationship between. So we call that normally, okay, parent and child entity. Okay, for example, in this diagram, okay, you want to know the death from COVID. Okay, what is the relationship okay, from the entity age? What is the relationship from the entity race, okay, to the death from COVID? Okay, so this is the method number 2, okay, for critical thinking method. So you want to find the relationship. So now we look at the causal models. Okay, so in this method we use the causal models to find the effect. Okay, which is, if you look at the example of the diagram here, so you can see that workplace structure, okay, individual characteristic, job satisfaction, okay, organizational commitment, intent to stay and turnover. So it means that this is example of model, okay, or the factors, okay, that to predict, okay, whether the person want to stay in a company or not. Okay, so this is example. Okay, so for example, what are the relationship of peer support, okay, to the job satisfaction? Okay, what is the relationship about job stress to the job satisfaction, and so on. Okay, so this is how we use causal models, okay, for method number 2. Okay, and then this one, okay, if you look at the diagram blue color here, okay, this is example of type of causal models. Okay, we have simple, okay, between A and B, which is the two entities. Okay, A is a parent, B is a child, for example. Okay, and then we have change, okay, A, B, C. Okay, and then we have common values A, B, and C. Okay, common effect, okay, and then change and common cause, and then we have very long change. Okay. Okay, so what are the tools that we use for the relationship? Okay, finding method number 2, finding the relationship, which is using the mind mapping. So this tool is very simple. Okay, I think it's very familiar. You are very familiar with this because so normally you will use this to do your notes, right? Okay, so it is actually you want to have a structuring your information into the graphical way. You want to represent your ideas from your mind, okay, in terms of the concept. Okay, it is mind mapping is actually the visual thinking tool. Okay, so that's why it is I think it is one of the best tool, okay, to structure, okay, your critical thinking. Okay, so you can use any mind mapping tool, okay, that is free, okay, for you to do your exercise, hands-on, and so on. Okay. Alright, so for activity number 2, in a group also, okay, you can have the same group or not. Okay, so you need to use, okay, mind mapping tool, any application that support mind mapping, okay, to find the relationship about the COVID-19. Okay, so coronavirus. So what are the relationship? For example, what kind of relationship that we have, okay, in terms of the location, places, okay, about the environment, okay, about the people, and so on. Okay, so now we move to the next one, okay, which is the method number 3, okay, group and categorizing. So categorizing or categorization or grouping is actually the activity that consists of putting things together, okay, such as, okay, you want to put things such as objects, you want to put ideas, people into categories. Okay, what kind of categories? Okay, for example, classes, types, index. Okay, how you categorize it? So normally based on the similarities or based on the common criteria. Okay, and then for example, okay, so normally if you want to find a very good friend or best friend, so normally you can see that your best friend has some of the common criteria or similarities with you, right? Okay, for example, you love to watch Korean drama, so you normally talk about that with a friend that has a common interest, right? Okay, so if you look at the diagram here, okay, so you can see that at the top here is the documents, the electronic document or the content, okay, which is stored in various platforms. Okay, for example, your electronic content stored in the email, okay, in the folder, computer, okay, at home, okay, which is in the cloud, okay, in the office, okay, at the office, okay, and then this is at the server. Okay, so we can categorize all the electronic content here. Okay, for example, you can categorize it into financial reports, okay, key contract, regulatory approvals, and intellectual properties. Okay, so this is how you categorize. So normally you will organize it into the same criteria for that things, right? Okay. So now we look at the tool, okay, that's suitable to support the categorization or grouping, okay, which is tool Affinity diagram that support large amounts of language data. Okay, what kind of language data that we have? For example, idea, opinions, issues, okay, and then organize them into grouping, okay, based on their natural relationships. Okay, so if you look at this diagram here, sticky notes. So you can see that various colors, okay, and then it is groups, okay, there are groupings here, right? So you can see the color yellow on the top, maybe this is the header title, okay, or the group title. Okay, so this is example, the manual way to represent the affinity diagram. Okay, and then if you look at the right side here, okay, so this is using the computer, okay, you can have a very structured, okay, affinity diagram. So this is almost similar to the hierarchy, right? Okay, next we look to how you can design your own affinity diagram. Okay, what are the process involved? So very simple, class. So we have 4 steps, okay, for you to draw your own affinity diagram. So step number 1, okay, you record, okay, each idea. So normally from brainstorming session with your group members, okay, about the case study that you have, okay, about the problem that you want to solve. Okay, for example, okay, you want to have ODL session for this semester. So how you solve the ODL session? Okay, how you identify, okay, the problems that you want to that you will face. Okay, okay, or okay, for example, another example is you want to solve about the COVID-19, right? Okay, what are the situation that we have? So you brainstorm and then you want to find the categorization or the suitable grouping related to the case study. Okay, step number 2, okay, look for the ideas. Okay, so you have record all the ideas, listed all the ideas. So now look at the ideas and then find the common or the similarity. Okay, so if it is similar to the idea, okay, for example, this is about the factors of certain things. Okay, so this is about the characteristic. Okay, this is about the tools, this is about the method. So you just grouping it, okay, put aside in a group. Okay, step number 3, so begin a discussion, okay, with your team, okay, in order for you to identify, okay, what is the suitable categories for this, okay, what is a suitable header or the title for this group. Okay, so and then maybe at the end you can identify, okay, the shape chart that you want to draw for your affinity diagram. Okay, so tips here, okay, for the header cards or for the title of the group, okay, should be very clear. Okay, identify the common thread. Okay, for example, it is about quality method. Okay, it is about teaching tools. Okay, so that is an example of the header. So the header normally is not too long, okay, and but make sure it is very clear. Okay, you can define it, you can identify it from the title or the header name. You can identify what is all about, the information is all about. Okay, so the last step, which is you can combine all the groups. Okay, for example, you have 5 small groups, you can combine into one group, which is you have the proposed title. Okay, now let us look at the example, okay, here. Okay, so this is possible performance measures that we have. Okay, so for example, we have pure percentage purity, trace metals. Okay, we have the material cost, overtime cost, utility cost. Okay, service factors, time between turnarounds, and so on. So how we can categorize this? Okay, so it is not easy for categorization. You need to very critical, okay, in order for you to identify. Okay, for example, material cost. What is material cost is about? Okay, what is overtime cost is about? Okay, so for example, it is about the manufacturing cost. Okay, so now we look at the solution. Okay, here, so this is the affinity diagram for the proposed performance measures. So we have header here, product quality. Okay, we have header or group maintenance. Okay, we have group safety and environmental. Okay, and then we have group manufacturing cost. So what is inside product quality? For example, percentage purity, percentage trace metals, okay, color, and so on. So this is information that related to the that product quality. Okay, so okay, try to look carefully on how you can group this. Okay, next, this is another example that we have. Okay, this kind of different kind of affinity diagram design. Okay, so for example, we have here the question is about barriers, okay, to on-time delivery. Okay, so what are the barriers? Okay, for example, the first barrier is about staff issues. Okay, so this is all the information that related. Inadequate equipment, for example, this is the okay, we have level hard to read, complex medications. Okay, so this is all the barriers that we have. Okay, and then if we put in the group for inadequate equipment. Okay, and then we have another group is about process interruptions. Okay, so interruptions in pharmacy, telephone, med request, okay, wrong quantity delivered. Okay, next we have the problems with procedures. Okay, procedures group. Okay, so it is related. What are the common or the information that's suitable we put in the group of under group of problems with procedure. So order cannot be read, procedures unclear, request forms too small, and so on. Okay, so this is class example of how you can use affinity diagram for grouping or categorizing. Okay, so next, activity number 3. So again, in a group of 4 members, okay, so create an affinity diagram, okay, using 3 headers. So I give you a case study, okay, which is example from the hotel industry. So we have this kind of information. So from this information, I want you to group into 3 groups. Okay, try to identify which is the similarity. Okay, for example, clean room. Okay, what is a clean room is about? Okay, what is room service food fresh and hot? Okay, so try to discuss with your friends. Okay, and then I hope that you can get something, okay, from these activities. Okay, so try your best, okay, to solve all the activities, okay, which is related to the critical thinking tools and methods. Okay, so before we end our discussion today, so let us recap, okay, what we have learned. Okay, so we have learned about methods, okay, 3 methods for critical thinking, okay, which is open-ended questions. Okay, number 2, identifying relationship. Okay, number 3, grouping and categorizing. Okay, and then what are the tools, okay, that can support the methods mentioned? Okay, you can use 5WS and 1H, okay, to support open-ended questions. Okay, you can use mind mapping, okay, to support the cause and effect relationships, identifying the relationships. Okay, and then you can use affinity diagram. Okay, affinity diagram, okay, to find similarity patterns and behavior for the method grouping and categorizing. So I hope you can get something from our session today. Okay, so I think that's all. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention, Okay, so we will see next class. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.